Governors of the 36th state of the Federation have approached the Supreme Court to challenge the Presidential Executive Order 0010 of 2020 signed in May by the President on funding of courts. The 36 states governors are seeking an order of the Supreme Court quashing Buhari's executive order for being unconstitutional. The sole respondent in the suit is the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, SAN. In the suit, the 36 states are contending that Buhari, by the virtue of the executive order he signed on May 20, 2020, has pushed the federal government's responsibility of funding both the capital and recurrent expenditure of the state high courts, Sharia Court of Appeal, and the customary Court of Appeal to the state governments. The states are being represented by the former president of Nigeria Bar Association, Austin Alahi, SAN. Tundu? States taking the federal government to court.
Which was predictable, let's face it. The last thing states in Nigeria need is extra expenditure with their constraints in Nigeria and other similar issues. So they've gone to the Supreme Court claiming that the president's executive order violates Section 6 and Section 8, subsection 3 of the Constitution, and that the states, in fact, have been funding capital projects in the courts in question, which are the state high courts, customary courts of appeal, and Sharia courts of appeal, and they're actually demanding a refund from the federal government as well. So it's over to the courts to interpret the validity of that presidential order. If it is found to violate a section of the Constitution, it will clearly be thrown out.
Okay. Well, I mean, the basis for this is the Executive Order number 10, which President Buhari signed on May 22, 2020. And at the time, you will recall that before that Executive Order number 10, the Financial Intelligence Unit had also given certain directives with regard to disbursements to local governments. So the Executive Order number 10 was to ensure the financial autonomy of local councils and also the judiciary, particularly at the state level. Now, the argument that was put up then by the governors was that this was a violation of their own rights under the Constitution. The Constitution, on one hand, creates for local governments what is called State-Local Government Joint Account Committee. But what we have seen is an abuse of that committee. Many of these state governments, they simply sit on, allocations due to local councils, creating a situation whereby that level of, that tier of government is thoroughly handicapped. And Executive Order number 10, although I'm very critical of executive orders because they could become handmaidens for dictatorship, was meant to correct that situation and ensure that this, third tier of government, as it were, is no longer dependent on states and the whims and caprices of governors. However, the argument that then came up then was that then something has to be done about that part of the Constitution that talks about this state-local government joint account committee, which governors had been abusing. They would charge administrative costs. They would control funds for local governments. They have practically turned local governments into appendages of the state government, with the governor acting as both governor and local government chairman in as many local councils as are available. That's one leg of it. So now they say they want to go to the Supreme Court. I think they're welcome to do so, and the ruling of the Supreme Court in the matter will provide clarity. They are taking the Attorney General of the Federation all the way to the Supreme Court for constitutional interpretation. As regards the other leg of that Executive Order number 10 relating to the judiciary, the argument has been put up that indeed, the judiciary, nobody is granting the judiciary financial autonomy because it is already guaranteed under Section 80 of the Constitution, which deals with consolidated revenue fund, and Section 84, subsection 4, which says the funding of the judiciary will be a first-line charge on the consolidated revenue fund that is defined in Section 80 of the Constitution. I think that in the past, Olisa Agbakoba took up the matter and went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court did not find in his favor, but of course, it's always good to interpret the Constitution, and the Supreme Court is well placed to do so. The issue here is the control of state funds, and of course, what we have seen is that the Constitution has been observed more in the breach, particularly by the state governors. So let them go to the Supreme Court. Constitutional matters would thereby be properly interpreted. But of course, what we know in terms of the reality is that it's not good to have the judiciary at the state level dependent on the state government. Only recently, one governor bought vehicles.
Is it one governor?
For judges.
More than one governor.
Well, I mean, after a pattern. And people were complaining, why would the state governor, the head of the executive arm of government, be buying SUVs for judges? That would look like an attempt, a blatant attempt, to compromise the integrity of the judiciary. So an independent judiciary is very important. A functional, effective local government system will also help to strengthen the service delivery system in the governance process. If all of this will be the matter that will come up and that will be resolved for long-term benefits for Nigerians, I think it is welcome.
I think the operative word here is there are 3 tiers of government. Sometimes we don't act like there are 3 tiers.
We very rarely do.
Of government, truly. I think we need to understand 3 tiers of government. 3 tiers of government.
This is why that presidential executive order was popular, but the validity or the popularity of an order or an edict is one thing. The process is quite another. Like you said, there's some discomfort by sort of governing by fiat in a democracy. It has to be constitutional. We cannot continue to pay lip service to the Constitution. So over to the courts now. I hope they don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because the intent is plain and honorable. So let's see how the court interprets. I mean,
let's see how it pounds on. Let's take it the next story. Independent National Electoral Commission has commenced replacing manual voting with automated voting system as part of efforts to migrate fully to electronic voting as soon as enabling legislation is put in place. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakub, who disclosed this in Abuja, assured Nigerians that the Commission has taken another decisive step towards the full automation of the electoral process. According to him, INEC has invited 40 manufacturers of electronic voting machines from around the world to practically demonstrate how the machines could work preparatory to full migration. Professor Yakub said this is to the deployment of electronic technology, and the Commission can now upload real-time electoral results for public view. He explained that over the years, the Commission has been automating the critical pillars of the process as biometric register of voters has been updated continuously. I'm really excited about this. We've been talking about technology in our elections all this while. 40 companies have been called in, to look at this process. Let's say it powers out. And a good takeaway from the last election in Edo was, for the first time, results were updated real time on the INEC portal.
Yeah, so it's really good to see that it's not going to be some kind of flash in the pan. INEC got a lot of plaudits on the handling of the Edo election, and they're trying to build on that and continue this upward trend, we hope. So I do hope that those demos, the trials, go well with the 40 companies and somebody is selected. It's about time. It's 2020.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what is the best practice in the world? The best practice is that elections are conducted or, processes are done with the aid of technology. Yeah. So the world has gone digital. It will be scandalous for Nigeria to remain at the analog level with the conduct of elections. And this was an issue that was one of the fallouts of the 2019 general election and the various consultative review meetings that INEC had. One of the outcomes was that, look, we need to adopt technology, adopt electronic voting, and not in the 21st century be talking about INEC not having a website, where, data can be loaded. Now, INEC, along the line, in response to the review of the 2019 general election, had said particularly that the 2021 gubernatorial election in Anambra State will be done with electronic voting. They have been making efforts to raise the level of their game in the 40 by-election in Nasarawa State in August, in 40 polling stations, and also in the elections that they just conducted in 952 wards and 2,627 polling stations in Edo State. However, for them to be on safe ground, we will still need to resolve the matter of the amendment, the further amendment of the Electoral Bill 2010 as proposed. The leadership of the National Assembly have assured us that this will be one of their priorities. They should get down to it and make sure that, you know, they make the necessary amendments in that Electoral Act. The excuse before the 2019 elections, the president refusing to grant his assent to some of the amendments, was that it was too close to the election. Now, 2023 is still far away. We should make the necessary reforms, the necessary amendments of the electoral laws now. We should not wait till it is 2023 and the same excuse will be given that, oh, it is too close to the election.
Was that the excuse? It was constantly, there's a typographical error, there's this, there's that.
Well, the excuse, the real excuse was that it was close to the election and something had to be explained to avoid passing that, making that bill into law appropriately. Now, you have commended the Edo state election. Yes, well, they made an effort, but people have also complained that a lot, in terms of collation, was done manually. Because we still saw those returning officers carrying big sheets of paper, and adding figures, manually. Now, if they actually deployed technology and they made good use of it, that would not be necessary. It will be possible that as the election is going on and the election ends, within 2-3 hours, the collation will have been done electronically and we will have the result. Okay. However, they are talking to 14 companies that have electronic, 40 companies that can provide electronic voting machines. The other challenge that we have to face is the security of that electronic process.
And also hacking.
We have seen in the United States and elsewhere where, in fact, the electoral process can be corrupted because it's technological. And don't put it past Nigerians. The average thing about us that we all know is that when you are trying to provide a solution, there are some Nigerians who are trying to beat that solution and compromise it. So there should be very proper emphasis, even as they are interacting with these electronic voting machine companies, to ensure that the type they will go and get will not be a second-hand type or the type that can easily be compromised by Yahoo agents working for politicians.
But also, I'm sure they are going to put in place very strong cybersecurity, firewall protection.
You are sure?
No, because
they should.
They should. I hope. Okay. I hope, Dr. Abati. I hope they should put in place very strong cybersecurity network, because that's always the case. You're very correct about that point. We've had case of hacking. If it could be done in America, Nigeria should watch out. If it could be done in America, we should watch out very strongly about things like that. And also, Dr. Abati, one step further for me would be there are indigenous companies that can produce these things, that can produce these materials, if you give them the wherewithal and the equipment to be able to do it. Why can't indigenous companies too be part of the bidding process? I don't know the companies on the bidding process yet, but I believe indigenous companies too can be part of this.
But you'll recall with the PVC machines, it was said that one of the companies was the husband or the spouse or the brother of someone who was contesting for a particular office, so the truth is,
open it to an open bid process. I think there's a department for due process. Let it be open. Let us be transparent about it.
Bureau of Public Procurement.
Bureau of Public Procurement. Let us be transparent about it. Let us be able to see who gets this. Why did he win the bid? Let's put it open out there. Because two things that will do. That will help us deepen our technology sector. Because I just see the mammoth amount you will put down to buy that technology and software will go to another economy when it could come to Nigeria and if we empower them. Because that's the way to go. And Dr. Abati, while you were talking about the need for...
You can't really have it go to another country.
No, those monies will go to another country.
No, I'm agreeing with your point.
Yeah.
You can't have the
sensitive go to another. It's not even good for national security. That's another very strong point you made, Tundu.
Well, the caveat to that is that these electronic voting machines, do we have the capacity to produce them in Nigeria? The answer is no, as we do not have the capacity to do many things in Nigeria. So we end up exporting jobs that could be available here. So even if you say the companies that will provide those voting machines should be Nigerian companies, you can be 100% sure they are going to link up with foreign partners, So, and this is where we face,
and over time build the
This
capacity.
is where we face the challenge. We have to upscale in terms of technological capacity. There was a time Nigeria was talking about technology transfer. Look, we have research institutes, we have universities, we can't just be relying forever on foreign initiatives.
It's not done. And it's quite sad because, Dr. Abati, while you were talking about the need for technology, I just remember the last election, how the professors will look at the sheet. Number 2,700 votes, then they will say, no, it's not the same. No, no, no. You remember particularly the man that returned for Rivers State? That scene on TV was something to behold, and they will match the figures back.
Anyway, Independence Day is on October 1.
Yes.
We should be optimistic.
Yes.
We should celebrate hope.
Nigeria
that one day, this giant will be truly a giant.
Yes. Yes. We will do well.
We will definitely get there.
We will do well. We will do well. All right, that's all of the news headlines. Take a short break now. When we return, we'll have to do a roast on Dr. Martin. No! Moving on for more business updates this morning, we've got Michael Wilson joining us from London. Hi, good morning, Michael. How are you?
Good morning. Fine, thank you. Asian stocks a bit mixed today. There's a lot to think about, actually. An important milestone's been passed. The global death toll from the pandemic, I'm sure you've covered it in your news, is now across the 1 million mark. About half those fatalities happened in the US, Brazil, India and Mexico. That's from Johns Hopkins University. That is quite a milestone, and that really underlines everything I'm going to tell you today. The US government has reportedly put an export ban, or at least asking companies to be licensed to export to China's biggest chip maker, which is SMIC. Now, this is really important. It threatens to hit right at the heart of China's semiconductor industry, and that's another acceleration of the trade war that the US is carrying on with China. SMIC is seen, and we've covered this before on the programme, a critical part of China's ambitions, and the Commerce Department's sanctions could hold back the company's development for several years. I'll just recap European markets for you. A cautious open, then given that that milestone that I was talking about. Traders really on a risk-on mode. There wasn't a lot to be bullish about. Equities in the Eurozone outperformed. Germany was the best, really. Outperformed yesterday. DAX, FTSE ended 1.4% higher, but all that's regarded as a bit of underperformance. Unsurprisingly, the European Central Bank reaffirmed its commitment to stand by its particular country members in the times of this pandemic. And the President, Christine Lagarde, in her address, she was talking to European lawmakers yesterday, called the recovery incomplete. Well, I think we understand that. She also added that this is compounded by consumers not spending and companies not investing. Again, stating the obvious, but it's useful to have it confirmed from a body like the ECB. US stocks did quite well there. Unsurprisingly, tech stocks did rather well, but it's a bit surprising because there was no real news. The big one is that to remember the relationship between China and the United States because of that SMIC semiconductor ban is actually another setback. So that will all spill over into the big one. The Prime Minister saying that there's a gulf between the two sides, but everybody's optimistic that there might be some sort of deal. We'll see about that. Bank of England here, the UK Deputy Governor, has spoken out against negative interest rates, saying that they are in the toolbox, as it were, but not going to be used in the near future. Corporate news, two big ones really. Caesars Entertainment, the Las Vegas casino owners, continuing to try to take over William Hill, our betting company in this country, the largest one. There is an indication here that William Hill are quite happy about this because they want to get into what they regard as the profitable US market. Asda could return to UK ownership for the first time in 20 years after two billionaire brothers here have put in a bid. Walmart's trying to divest itself of Asda. Walmart's important, of course, because of the TikTok deal. They're thinking very differently about how they want to get involved with social media and also the economy in the United States.
Right.
And just before I hit the commodities, an interesting one on Wirecard. Do you remember we mentioned that 2 or 3 weeks ago? German politicians, including Angela Merkel, lobbied for Wirecard to be continuing as late as last September, so only just over 12 months ago. It showed what extraordinary access this company had to senior German politicians, and it also, I think, calls into question a lot of the activities of the German regulatory authorities. We'll be hearing a lot more of that. And just before I go, oil prices jumped a little bit overnight, but that's only because equities did it as well. I think when people get to grips once again with the way that this that important milestone of 1 million coronavirus cases may well affect economies, then that will fall too. Gold rose a little bit overnight. Now, as we know, gold is a bit of a risk play, and basically South Korea and China on holidays from tomorrow and Thursday. Well, not a great deal going on there. I suspect gold will remain fairly flat. That's the global view this morning.
Michael, it's a shame we don't have time. I wanted to talk about Uber this morning coming back to London. Uber feeling Uber cool, but we can't do that because we need to take roads. But thank you so much for your time, Michael. Our dependable Road Sudir is here to give us Africa Business Update. Over to you, Rotus. How's it going?
Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Doctor, and good morning, Tundu. Yeah, we kick things off with Health Plus. There's some drama going on in the private pharmaceutical companies sector here with a private equity company, a power struggle. So Health Plus, of course, is a private pharmaceutical firm. They operate in Nigeria, and they have a number of stores across the country, particularly in Lagos. Their founder is Olubukonola Adewumi George. She is a pharmacist with 25 years of experience, Nigeria and UK trained, and she formed the company back in 1999. Now, she got an investment of $18 million from Alta Semper Capital. Alta Semper Capital is a private equity firm based in the United Kingdom. Their first ever investment in Nigeria was this $18 million in 2018 in Health Plus. They wanted to help them expand. But on the 25th, they appointed this gentleman, Mr. Chidi Okoro, as their chief transformation officer, essentially booting out Mrs. George. Now, this now, of course, gave way to back and forth between press releases here and there. A press release came out from Health Plus saying that Alta Semper Capital was trying to hijack the company, and they were illegally trying to remove Mrs. George from her position. This now caused Alta Capital to come out with another press release saying that no, they're in line with all the laws in Nigeria. They didn't try to boot her out. We're a private equity firm. We made an investment in this company. And by the way, the 18 million, they didn't give them all at once. It's in tranches. And then as you meet certain benchmarks, key performance indicators, you get more money. So according to them, she didn't meet these key performance indicators, and they were trying to mediate the matter, have her removed from her CEO position, but make her a non-executive director, still on the board of the company. She refused, and so there's been a lot of back and forth that's been going on right now. It's being played out, unfortunately, in the media. But, you know, I have to say, this company, Alta Semper Capital, it's being backed by some really heavy hitters. The chairman is Ronald Lauder. That's Lauder as in Estee Lauder. He's the chairman of Clinique Laboratories, which is a subsidiary of Estee Lauder. Another co-founder is Richard Parsons. Mr. Ronald Lauder is also a former U.S. ambassador to Austria, so, you know, he's a very well-regarded man. Richard Parsons is chairman of Rockefeller Foundation, former chairman of Citigroup, also former chairman of Time Warner. So she's, you know, up against some real heavy hitters here. She's got some limited options. Either she, will acquiesce and move to a non-executive position, or try to buy out their position, which would take a lot of money, or continue to fight this out. So we'll see how that plays out. You've already talked about, I think you already mentioned this, but the organized private sector, the OPS, they've come out against the suspension of the electricity tariffs. That is talking about the LCCI, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, the NECA, also the NACCIMA, that's the Nigeria Association of Chambers, Commerce, Industry, Manufacturing and Agriculture. They came out saying that, listen, they support the fact that the strike was halted, but they want the suspension of the service-related tariffs. They want that removed. That look, if you reverse that, you're going to be taking Nigeria backwards, back to the era of subsidies and so on and so forth. Although with service-reflective tariffs, it's in ban. So pretty much the people who are using the most power are subsidizing the ones who don't use anything. But that's still another conversation. But they've actually come out and said, well, listen, do not reverse these electricity tariffs. Keep them the way they are. And then I think you already talked extensively about this as well. I'm very excited to hear that INEC is migrating towards electronic voting. They are looking to talk to about 40 or so manufacturers of electronic voting machines. And, a doctor already talked about this extensively, but really it's good to see. They should extend this further and look at how to do this via phones. I know it's still something that they just need to test, see how it will work out, but INEC is doing very well. And also the progression they've made, as we saw in Edo State, to where real-time results are uploaded at the INEC electionresults.com. That's progression there. So from where they are with the biometric information, smart card readers, now going to real-time results as from election polling units, now going to electronic voting. I mean, you're going to see youth participation increase, and I hope that they partner with tech companies, especially telcos, to get this going forward. Finally, Netflix is looking to expand in Africa. If you look at this chart here in black, they only have about 1.4 million subscribers. The blue bars are where they expect to be. Their forecast for 2025. They want to exceed about 4 million, go to about 5 million subscribers. So they're looking at a mobile-only subscription service that will cost about 1,200 naira. It's less than the almost 3,000 naira service they have right now. But the problem is cost. That 1,200 naira is higher than, I think, 250 naira cost that Iroko TV offers for its own services. And even at 250 naira, here's a quote from Jason Njoku, the CEO. They're still not able to recoup their profits. So Jason Njoku says here, as far as the cost issues here, he says you can't remove yourself from the macro picture in Nigeria. People are poor. These markets are tough, and I don't see them getting any better. So Iroko TV, even at 250 naira, they are looking to focus only on higher net worth subscribers who can afford to use the service. That's a shrinking pool with respect to how many people can afford the service and if there are enough people, for this to be profitable. Netflix also has to worry about people sharing their subscription. There's a young lady here who spoke to Bloomberg. She says that's her friends also give my password, my Netflix password, to others who don't want to add Netflix to their bills. I get notifications when anyone logs in. Some of them feel guilty and send money to my account. Her name was Tumininu Elomoso, Netflix user, a Nigerian living in Canada. So the thing is, Netflix identified this and they say, hey, look, for now, we won't worry about it. We want to see how many people are using the service, what they are watching, so we can partner with more local content creators across Africa and expand. So the streaming space is going to get pretty interesting going forward. And I think the commemorative 60th and the independence celebration that Arise TV and This Day News Media is hosting, I think that's going to be streamed on Arise Play as well. So again, very interesting where streaming services are going moving forward. I
don't know how much time we have left, but you've raised a very interesting subjects. The first, the problem with Health Plus. The matter is already in court, and we don't have access to the small print of the contractual agreement. But it's very unfortunate that this has happened because Health Plus is the fastest growing pharmaceutical business in Nigeria today, and even across West Africa. Jobs may be affected, about 850 persons on the payroll of that particular company. And now to find a situation whereby a vision that was, created in 1999 is now being threatened just because, there was a joint venture capital intervention in 2018. We hope that the matter will be resolved. But the question to ask is that, is there anything in place in Nigeria to protect companies, in Nigeria that go into partnerships with, venture capital companies to protect them from this kind of situation? Because if we investigate further, you may well discover that it's not just Health Plus that is facing this challenge. There may well be other, businesses in various sectors of the economy that find themselves in this situation.
Okay, Rochis, you have to keep that debate for another time. It's going to be a great one, but we'll go for a quick break now. When we come back, we'll take COVID-19 pandemic update with Aaron Akiriola. We'll be right back. right, for updates on COVID-19, welcome back, by the way. Still enjoying the morning show right here on the Rise channel. For updates on COVID-19 pandemic, Aaron Akerjala is here with us. Aaron, great to have you.
Yeah, good morning to you, Rufai. Good morning to you, Tindu. Good morning to you, Doctor. That's straight to it. So as we've actually approached a very sobering milestone in terms of COVID-19 deaths. But let's look at the figures actually coming in for COVID-19. First, a global outlook of the COVID-19 in terms of numbers. Of course, we have well over 33 million at the moment. You can actually see that we've passed that sobering milestone of over 1 million confirmed deaths globally. Now, if we can get straight into the slides, well, a massive breakdown. You can actually see some of the numbers with major numbers coming from the UK. You can see 41,900. The US having quite a lot, a chunk of it, over 200,000. Mexico with 76,000. We're seeing the Americas majorly are the ones actually affected. You can see there Mexico with over 76,000, Colombia with over 25,000, Ecuador with over 11,000, Brazil with over 141,000, Argentina with 19,000, Peru with 32,000, and also you can see 20,000 in Russia. Now, this is actually up by 4% from looking at the 14-day period. So far, so good. Yesterday alone, in the last 24 hours, we had well over 4,000 deaths for COVID-19, taking it to this sobering milestone in terms of COVID-19. Now, let's try to just dimension it a little bit. You can actually see the breakdown there as it relates to continents. Asia has got the deep blue, which actually you can see the trajectory there alongside the Middle East, North America, Latin America, and the Caribbeans have quite a lot of chunk in terms of deaths. You can actually see that Africa, the deaths in Africa is still relatively low, and which is just, I think, a stroke of luck, because it's not a testament to what we are doing, but a testament to it's just an enigma, scientific enigma at the moment. Pressing further a little bit to help us understand some of these things, you can see North America has got 303,000 confirmed deaths. South America has got 248,000 of that 1 million. Europe, the entirety of Europe has got over 220,000. Asia has got over 189,000, while Africa has just got 35,000 plus, while the Oceania region is not even up to that. Of course, Africa and the Oceania region actually do have some of the lowest, but based on the numbers, numerical numbers, when you put them side by side, the Oceania region and Africa, certainly, Africa is looking like we've actually dodged a major bullet at this time around in terms of COVID-19. All right, let's actually press further. Looking at it closely, how did we get to this very sobering milestone? The first death was actually recorded on the 11th of January back in Wuhan, and by February, we saw it actually break out to the likes of South Korea, Iran, Italy, with over 104 deaths outside China. All right, in March, we saw Europe becoming the epicenter, with Italy instituting the first nationwide lockdown on the 9th of March. Moving on to the next one, by early May, the US recorded up to 1,000 deaths each day. And since the spring, 1.5 of all deaths recorded globally has come from the Americas, though India has joined the US, Brazil, and Mexico. As a matter of fact, the US and India at the moment, 1 in 5 deaths comes from the US, 1 in 5 deaths comes from India at the moment in terms of COVID-19 deaths, which is really, really frightening. Although, since we're speaking about that, in the bid to try to understand the way this virus has been spreading, the WHO has actually spoken that they will be they'll be partnering to put out a rapid COVID-19 test out there that will take just a matter of minutes for you to be able to get the results. They've actually tried to meet with, and they're actually partnering with a foundation that will see 20 countries here in Africa get this test to help us better understand this. Since we're still talking about better understanding the COVID-19, as a matter of fact, the US actually supporting Nigeria with $2.1 million for a survey that will cut across some states, Nasarawa State, Gombe State, all included in the bid to understand how COVID-19 has been spreading within households. Now, moving further now, I must actually state this. There have been major talks about COVID-19 seeing, as we press further from this, violators in Rivers State right now. We've spoken about people actually not adhering to COVID-19 protocols. And in Rivers State right now, they are claiming that violators of COVID-19 protocols will have to pay 100 million naira. How feasible that is left to be seen. But in the midst of all this, we are hearing news that at the moment, the ICPC has actually come out to say that some 249 million naira that was meant for COVID-19, meant for feeding during the COVID-19 lockdown were found in different accounts. Remember, Sadia Farouk, talking about the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, actually spoke about 500 million during the COVID-19 lockdown that was going to be used for school feeding. And we are hearing that part of that chunk of the money was found in people's accounts. We've been speaking about people using COVID-19 funds or using COVID-19 as a screen to probably embezzle money. That's just the height of it.
All right, I would like to say a very big thank you to you, Aaron.